Indigenous Services Canada releases its audit of a Saskatchewan Indigenous organization. A local math tutoring group says it's not receiving federal funding despite being approved. And 4 vintage combines finish off the harvest on a Saskatchewan family farm.
Live from our studios in Regina, this is CTV News.
Good evening. Lee is back tomorrow. We begin with a new round of job action at Canada Post, with members of the union representing its workers now once again on strike. The Canadian Union of Postal Workers said the move is in response to major proposed changes for the Postal Service put forward by the federal government today. Those include slowing down the frequency of mail delivery, shutting down some post offices, and ending door-to-door delivery for nearly all Canadian households within the next decade. Some Regina workers were back on the picket line downtown a short time later. We'll continue following this story for you in the days ahead. Right now, we'll turn to other local headlines. The federal government has released its findings into a forensic audit that's flagged more than $30 million in spending from the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations. Keenan Sora-Khan has the details.
The federal government is out with its recommendations after the FSIN had more than $34 million in spending flagged over a 5-year period. Most recommendations surround how money flows to First Nations, asking the FSIN to get budgets and make sure funding is meeting the needs of those requesting it. Other recommendations include more reporting, invoicing, and documenting when there's variances.
An elder shared with me that it's got to get to the worst, very worst situation before things will get better. And I believe that's honestly, we're pretty close to that status now.
Former Flying Dust First Nation Chief Bob Morasti says the FSIN needs to change the status quo to avoid further allegations in the future.
Our people are kind of sick with this. They're tired of this. And we need to clean house.
The 11-page report flagged raises to the executive, pay to a former employee, and fleet vehicles. The entire executive bought new fleet vehicles above the approved amount twice in just over a year and a half, part of $1.3 million of vehicle purchases over the period. Chief Bobby Cameron received a $60,000 pay bump in 2020, along with $40,000 to vice chiefs, but the audit couldn't determine if that included retroactive back pay, so there could be nearly $150,000 in overpayment. The FSIN hasn't responded to multiple requests from CTV, and Morasti says he doesn't know anyone that's heard from them recently.
The lack of response from them honestly is perceived as admission of guilt.
More than $23 million of questionable spending meant for COVID-19 funding was flagged, and Morasti says FSIN needs to shore up its own policies and review legislation to prevent further damage. Keenan Sora-Khan, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Saskatchewan's Firearms Commissioner is voicing concern over Ottawa's gun buyback program. CTV's Laura Woodward finds out why.
As the federal government moves ahead with its ban of more than 2,000 assault-style firearms, Prince Albert Police Chief Patrick Noget, who also heads the province's Police Chiefs Association, is questioning how enforcement will work.
Is there going to be an expectation for police to show up at a doorstep if provided with a list of individual that is in possession of one of these firearms?
The buyback program for the outlawed guns is starting with a 6-week pilot project in Nova Scotia before rolling out nationwide later this fall. Owners will be contacted with instructions to either turn their guns over to local police after scheduling a time online or keep them by proving the gun has been deactivated.
And if this is another added layer of expectation with respect to policing resources, what's going to have the impact? What's going to fall off the table if there's an expectation that we're being dedicated towards this sort of thing?
In his 33 years on the job, Noget says he's seen more crimes involving guns, most illegally owned.
Guns are being smuggled from across border. So the U.S. pipeline remains a consistent source of guns.
Statistics Canada says in 91% of shooting homicides, the accused did not have a valid firearms license.
We're targeting the wrong individuals. I mean, we're targeting law-abiding gun owners and taking firearms away from them and spending a lot of money to do it. And at the same time, they're not the problem.
The federal government says the ban is part of its commitment to tackling gun violence. But Saskatchewan's firearms commissioner says the focus should be on tightening borders.
We need to redirect our effort toward border security, mental health, domestic violence, crime, smuggling. The list goes on and on.
Laura Woodward, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Regina City Council has opted into Saskatchewan's Safe Public Spaces Act, which brings new rules around street weapons. It comes after the Board of Police Commissioners recommended this week that the city adopt the new regulations. The provincial legislation gives police more authority to use their own discretion when removing dangerous weapons off the streets. Council passing the motion with a vote of 7-4, with Councillors Froh and Turnbull abstaining from the vote, meaning it was recorded as a no for the record.
I'm not comfortable that I have information to make a decision of this magnitude. So if I were to abstain out of principle, given that I don't feel I have the information to accurately make a vote, full faith in the RPS, but we quite literally were given 3.5 days.
I'm in support in the context of I respect the advice and the actions that have been demonstrated from our police service in this matter.
The city will now work on what happens next, which comes with drafting a bylaw in line with the act. Final wording will be approved by council at a later date. A fifth person has now been charged in connection with a shooting last month that injured an 11-year-old girl. It happened August 11th in Regina's Eastview neighborhood just after 2 a.m. on August 11th, when an 11-year-old girl inside the home on the 1000 block of Edgar Street was injured by a gunshot. Now a fifth person, 29-year-old Amber Jensen, faces charges of accessory and conspiracy to commit murder, making her first court appearances on these charges today. She joins the 4 other accused in the case who have all been charged over the last 2 weeks. 3 16-year-olds are facing charges of assault with a weapon after a bear spray incident outside a Regina school. It happened this morning outside a school in the 400 block of Fines Drive, the same address as F.W. Johnson Collegiate. 2 girls outside the school were bear sprayed. The suspects then fled the scene. Police arrived minutes later, lifting secure the building mode at the school. Once police found there was no further threat to students, the 3 youths responsible were arrested. Each face 2 counts of assault with a weapon. They'll appear in court in November. Organizers of a Saskatchewan math tutoring initiative created to support Indigenous children in need of academic support say they're dealing with a funding gap. The company says it's been over 8 months since it was approved for federal Jordan's principal funding, but so far it has yet to receive new rounds. Sierra D'Souza Butts explains.
Before starting tutoring, Caden's Parley's math skills were about 4 years behind where he should have been.
It wasn't really my favorite subject. I didn't understand a whole lot.
A year and a half later, the grade 9 student is close to bridging the gap.
We've seen a huge jump in his overall understanding when it comes to math. His grades have improved, and I think just his overall confidence in knowing, I understand this.
His family credits his progress to Project CACM, a mathnasium program in Regina that looks to help Indigenous youth improve their learning. The 3-year project received funding for its first year under Jordan's Principle, a federal initiative created to address gaps, delays, or denials in accessing government services, including education. Despite being funded by Jordan's Principle in its first year, the owner of Mathnasium in North Regina says he's still waiting on more than $150,000 from Indigenous Services Canada.
The application went in February of last year. The project was supposed to start 3 or 4 months later. We didn't actually receive an approval until September.
In a statement to CTV News, Indigenous Services Canada says for privacy reasons for the youth involved, it cannot provide detailed information about funding requests pertaining to specific individuals in need, directing questions about specific funding to the organization in question.
And it's not sustainable, so I'm now incurring a massive cost personally.
I feel more confident and more focused because of the program I have gotten.
Back at the center, other families have also reaped the benefits of the program, saying without the initiative being covered federally, they would not be able to afford the service on their own.
I didn't know how much he was struggling until we got into the program. So not only did it open our eyes, it's helped him progress so much. So without the program and without the funding, I just don't think we would be where we're at academically in his math career.
Mathanasium Regina says it's taken on the financial burden so it can continue supporting the 40 Indigenous children in the project as they wait for answers on the federal funds. Sierra D'Souza Butts, CTV News, Regina.
The city of Regina has committed up to $3 million to complete a stalled rapid housing project. Work on the 30-unit building at Angus Street and 5th Avenue stopped last November because of rising construction costs. Wayne Mantika reports.
It has been 10 months since work stopped on this 30-unit rapid housing project after $8 million in government funding ran out. It was to be operated by the North Central Family Centre, which went to City Council this week asking for money to help complete construction.
There were significant cost escalations in the construction industry, we believe about 35% during this period of construction.
Originally, the federal government contributed close to $7 million, with about $1 million each from the city and the province. City Council has agreed to contribute up to an additional $3 million toward project completion, but it might not be enough.
Part of the recommendations, we're going to be working really closely with city administration to look at other grant opportunities, to also reach out to other levels of government. I know there's been discussions at the federal level, and we've had discussions with the provincial level as well. We want to fairly quickly reach back out to other potential funders to see what their interest and their appetite is in seeing this through.
When complete, the Orange Buffalo Lodge will offer a full range of supports to about 90 residents.
North Central Family Centre believes affordable housing doesn't work without supports, and at the end of the day, we don't want people to stay in a low-income status, and we want them to be able to achieve things greater than that. And so our goal always and everything we do is to help break the cycle of poverty.
North Central Family Centre plans to do things differently as it works toward completion of the project. It's going to obtain an exact construction cost and obtain all the necessary funding before resuming work, with the goal of moving in next year. Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Regina.
Today, the First Nations University of Canada recognized Truth and Reconciliation ahead of September 30th. The day started with a pipe ceremony this morning, followed by a smudge walk. Hundreds of community members walked in honor of residential school survivors and those that didn't make it home. After the walk, speakers gave presentations and shared stories about what this day means to them.
It's been 10 years since we've had the gift of the 94 calls to action. It's been 10 years, and so some organizations like us have reflected on how we progressed, if we've progressed at all.
This afternoon was the late Tony Cody Welcome Back Powwow, an annual event that celebrates the new school year and student community. Sabine Ahmed joins us in the Weather Center tonight. Sabine, it was a fantastic day for just about anything outside, as you could probably tell from any of the stories we've had tonight that are outside.
Beautiful weather. Can't complain. Wind wasn't too bad either. We did start to see the winds picking up later in the day, but another beautiful sunny day in many parts of the province, most parts of the province, really. Temperatures not as warm as, say, yesterday, but we still saw those temperatures rising warmer than the average for this time of year. We do have some air quality statements issued for the Northwest, but as you can see on the radar satellite over the last few hours, haven't really seen much activity when it comes to weather. No rain, not even much cloud cover. Temperatures right now still sitting in the 20s for many parts, or even in the mid to high teens. The average is usually about 16, 17 degrees this time of year. We warmed up to 20 degrees late this afternoon. We will continue to see kind of a up and down over the next couple of days with these temperatures, but we will continue to see those temperatures get back into the 20s, and I'll have all those details coming up in your full forecast. Cole?
All right, thank you, Sabine. Well, harvest progress was steady over the last week, but it's still well behind the 5-year average, with 68% of the provincial crop in the bin. Producers are furthest along in the southwest, where 80% of harvest is now wrapped up. Farmers in some areas were dealing with rain and high humidity, leading to poor quality and even sprouting for cereal crops still in the field. High temperatures are expected to help producers progress or even finish up harvest this week, according to Saskatchewan's Minister of Agriculture.
had some moisture which delayed progress, but we need drier conditions now to get the hours on the combines on a daily basis. So we're well past the halfway mark and looking to see that three-quarter mark here within the next week.
Ag officials in the province also say there's been an increase in machinery fires this week and remind producers to have fire suppression equipment handy, blow off their combines regularly, and take care when working around power lines. As more producers close in on the end of harvest, one Saskatchewan farm family recently saved 4 combines from the junkyard and even got them back in the field. Mick Favel takes us there.
They just don't make them like they used to, at least according to Mark Brodner. 4 classic combines brought back to life and working the land once again.
All 4 of these machines are, I guess, barn finds, as you call them. They've all needed some sort of restoration, whether it's seized engines, transmissions, and I get them back in the field of working condition.
Brodner's love for combines and restoration goes back many years. He plans to get one of each brand. It's a hobby that has rubbed off on his wife and children.
At the end of the day, you have to have more than just work and everyday life. You have to enjoy something, and life is too short not to have a hobby that you enjoy and can share with friends and family. So between the combines and old tractors and old trucks, it's something that we can do as a family, enjoy as a family.
One of the machines was once owned by a local farmer. His daughter remembers the combine coming home for the first time.
My dad would have been so pleased to have it resurrected. And my husband Brian is driving it. He came over and he says, I don't know if I remember how to drive this thing. And obviously he remembers because he's still out there.
These harvesters all range from 65 to 75 years old. They run on gasoline and can reach up to speeds of 2 miles, not kilometers an hour. They require a pickup truck to unload because their spout is built too low for modern methods. Despite this, they are a reminder of the generations before who used what they had and were thankful for such technology.
The new combines now are all GPS, computer-controlled sensors, yield monitors. These ones, you just drive by sound. If it sounds like it's working, you better slow down or you're going to be pulling it out.
Proving that with the proper care and attention, almost anything can stand the test of time. Mick Favel, CTV News, near Dysart.
The city of Warman is urging residents to be careful after a bat carrying rabies was identified in the city. A post to social media advises if people see a bat during daylight hours to keep their distance and contact animal control immediately. It also advised pet owners and parents of young children to be extra cautious. Bats are typically nocturnal, so seeing a bat active during the day can indicate it's sick. Any direct contact with a bat can be risk for rabies transmission, which can be deadly. Littlebone First Nation is stepping up to help a Yorkton group with a van full of bread. Cameron Papich, head of the Reserve's Hunting Council, made the donation to the Soup Haven today. Soup Haven goes through about 120 loaves of bread per week, which feeds around 300 children. Littlebone's 100 loaves were paid for by the band and supplied by a local bakery in Melville. They hope to donate more frequently in the future.
My motivation comes from I grew up on Littlebone, but I went to school in Yorkton. I grew up on the lunch program, and all the other children in my community have as well, and my children are on that program as well. So I wanted to give back to the community.
Littlebone First Nation is located just south of Yorkton. Still ahead, new projections for the upcoming fall federal budget. And a Canadian man fatally shot during a golfing trip in Wisconsin.
Your morning just got a little brighter. Start your day with CTV Your Morning, and you could win $20,000. For your chance to win, watch CTV Your Morning Saskatchewan, weekday mornings 6 to 9.
Just weeks ahead of the fall federal budget, the Parliamentary Budget Officer is projecting that Ottawa's annual deficit is expected to balloon to $68.5 billion this year. CTV's Abigail Bimman digs deeper into the implications and what it means for you.
The parliamentary budget officer briefs a committee of MPs on his new economic and fiscal outlook.
I think everybody should be concerned. It's a really serious day.
The report projects a sharp hike to the annual deficit from $51.7 billion last year to $68.5 billion this year.
All of which will add to the cost of living for Canadians. How is it possible that any prime minister could have been more expensive than Trudeau?
A large part of that is in response to what has happened, not by choice, but we had to be there for workers. If you're in the auto sector, the steel industry, in the forestry industry, you expect your government to be there.
The report includes $115 billion in announced new spending, but notably does not include the Prime Minister's commitment to hit the NATO target of 5% of defense spending by 2035, or any of the government's spending review that's expected to hit 15% in cuts by 2029.
I think the government is in a bind right now trying to deal with this trade war and the effects on the economy.
Still so many question marks around both spending and cuts unaccounted for in this update, with the budget and potential answers still 6 weeks away. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
A Canadian man who was living in Pennsylvania is dead after being shot during a golf trip in Wisconsin. CTV's Adrian Gabriel has more on how the family is coping.
5 weeks ago, Mike Robinson and his wife Rachel welcomed their first child, a baby girl named Farah, into the world. On Wednesday, the 32-year-old father experienced another lifetime event, sinking his first hole-in-one at a Wisconsin golf course he dreamed of playing at with friends and family. One of his first phone calls after draining the shot was to his brother Jacob back in Canada.
That phone call is just, it's playing in my head.
Mikey! Let's go! Mikey! A few short hours later, Robinson was murdered.
A subject who was shot and is not conscious, not breathing.
It's the worst phone call I've ever had yet. It brought me to my knees.
Robinson had just wrapped up dinner with some of those he'd golfed with that day. His family believe he was walking to his hotel in Sheboygan Falls, Wisconsin, when the young father was shot. Police believe a suspect was driving a small, dark-colored SUV.
My brother was one of a kind, and he touched a lot of people's hearts.
Speaking to CTV News from Pearson International Airport, on his way to bring home his brother's body, Jacob Robinson wants Canadians to know his brother's life story.
He was my best man, and I always joked around that, yeah, he was my little brother, but he was my big brother to me. I looked up to him in every aspect of life. And he was a true gentleman.
Robinson, a skilled hockey player, was drafted into the OHL, played in the ECHL and in Europe, and was now living in Pennsylvania, where he worked for a golf company. Robinson was scheduled to fly back to Canada next week for his sister's wedding, which is now being postponed.
My sister's wedding is going to be now my brother's funeral.
Jacob has now assumed the responsibility of keeping Mike's memory alive for his young daughter, Farah.
He loved her so much. And he loved his family.
Mike Robinson's immediate family have all arrived in the U.S. His father says they're expecting autopsy results tomorrow morning. They want to thank Canadians across the country for their prayers and their support. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Stouffville, Ontario.
There was shock in a Paris courtroom today when former French President Nicolas Sarkozy was sentenced to 5 years in jail after being found guilty of criminal conspiracy.
Je suis innocent.
The 70-year-old who served as president from 2007 to 2012 was found guilty of using funds from former Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi to finance his 2007 election campaign. In exchange, Sarkozy helped Gaddafi combat his poor reputation in Western countries. The ruling means even if Sarkozy appeals, he'll have to spend time in jail. Stats Canada is out with its updated list of the most popular baby names, and a couple of familiar choices dominate the charts. For the 9th year running, Olivia is the most popular name for girls, while Noah tops the list for boys for a 4th straight year. Runners-up were Liam and Charlotte. However, Sophia with a PH and Sophia with an F came in separately when 5th and 6th. If combined, that name would have toppled Olivia's reign as most popular. Still ahead after your forecast, checking in with the Canadian astronaut set to take part in the Artemis mission that will circle the moon.
Recognizing Saskatchewan's dedicated volunteers, Friday on Your Morning, how you can nominate an outstanding citizen for this year's Saskatchewan Order of Merit.
Welcome back. Another beautiful day in the Queen City and really all of Saskatchewan. We haven't seen much in terms of active weather. Saw a little bit of cloud cover rolling through, but for the most part, a lot of sunshine. Temperatures maybe not as warm as we saw them yesterday, but still above the average. The average, as I mentioned earlier, around 16, 17 degrees. In Regina, we warmed up closer to 20 degrees late this afternoon. Did have those winds gusting up to about 35, 40 kilometers an hour. Currently, we're sitting at 18 with those winds just over 20 kilometers an hour. Expect for the winds to pick back up as we head into tonight and into tomorrow. Now, we don't really have many watches or warnings issued right now with just that air quality statement still in the northwest. We do have frost advisories in Alberta, and we did see some of those in Saskatchewan yesterday. It's just that time of year. Last I heard, though, over in the Jasper area, starting to see some flurries, which in Jasper, it probably looks very pretty. We'll keep that away for now. In Saskatchewan, no signs of flurries, but there is a little sign of some rain on the way for parts of the province. Not a whole lot. A bigger system coming through the north could affect some parts of central southern Saskatchewan. You'll see that as we take a look at your tracker heading into tonight and into tomorrow. So most of that rain, again, sticking farther up north, and then early tomorrow morning, we could see a little bit of precipitation coming through the southwest in and around the Maple Creek Swift Current area. Later in the morning, that system continuing on eastward, Saskatoon, Parkland could see some of that rain as well. And just before noon, more of that rain expected in the Parkland, Wynyard, Hudson Bay, Yorkton could see some rain as well. And then, like I said, just shortly before noon, just around noon, we'll see that system clear out. And then for the rest of Friday into Saturday, seeing mostly clear and sunny conditions. We'll see a little bit of that cloud rolling through in parts of the southeast Saturday evening. But then we'll see it clear up as we head into Sunday. So a lot of sunshine expected. And those temperatures, though today and even tomorrow, we won't see them into the 20s for parts of the province. We will see some mid to high 20 temperatures returning as we head into next week, and I'll show you that in just a second. But tonight, even into tomorrow, tonight above seasonal. Tomorrow for parts of northern Saskatchewan, just around seasonal, if not a little cooler for Larange, expecting to see some rain. 14 degrees is the daytime high. Prince Albert, Lloydminster, Laloche, all expecting a high of 17 degrees with a mix of sun and cloud. Prince Albert seeing a little bit of that precipitation. 18 in North Battleford, 19 and sunny in Saskatoon, 19 and a mix of sun and cloud for Yorkton in the southwest. Also high teens, 19 Maple Creek, 18 Swift Current, 20 in Moose Jaw tomorrow, 22 for Estevan, 21 for Weyburn, and Assiniboia, a mix of sun and cloud, and 19 degrees. If we take a closer look at Regina tonight, 11 degrees, clear conditions, wind gusts up to about 50 tonight. Tomorrow, gusting up to 60. So a very windy day tomorrow. 19 is the expected daytime high, mainly sunny conditions. But I would say most of that wind is, again, coming from that system that's going to be bringing some rain before noon. Later in the afternoon, we should start to see those winds calm, but still expect some very high winds, especially in the morning for many parts of southern Saskatchewan. 19, as I mentioned already, for Friday, tomorrow in the Regina area. 24 and sunny on Saturday. So we'll see those temperatures bounce right back up into the mid-20s by Sunday. 26 and sunny. Monday, starting your new work week, 26 sunny. But again, those high winds return, gusting up to 50 on Monday. And then on Tuesday, we're getting back into some mix of sun and cloud, 26 degrees. And then we'll start to see those temperatures come down again as we head into the later end of the week. Slight chance we could see some precipitation on Wednesday. More cloud cover rolling in, 21 expected. And then by Thursday, the strong winds return up to 60. 18 is the expected high. But taking a look at the next 7 days, Cole, They're all still above the average. So a still warm week ahead and a lot of sunshine, just a couple days with those strong wind gusts.
And you're 100% sure that this is the 7-day board that includes the start of October.
Correct.
It's just hard to believe.
It
So
is
just
hard
wanted to double
believe.
check.
But I was looking, like I had mentioned earlier, I think about last week, I was looking at last year's temperatures, and like September 30th, there was like a 32-degree day. So, wow. Yeah, we could still, there's still a chance we could see some very warm, but again, 26 degrees next week is not too bad either.
Not too bad at all. Thanks, Sabine.
You bet.
Well, we're getting a report tonight from the team gearing up for a groundbreaking space journey featuring astronaut Jeremy Hansen. He's one of 4 crew members set to orbit the moon next year, marking the first time a Canadian will reach deep space. CTV's Lauren Stallone has more.
If all goes to plan, 4 astronauts will soon blast off on a mission that's been a long time coming, a return to the moon.
Artemis 2 is about much more than just going back to the moon. It is about the pursuit of excellence.
London-born astronaut Jeremy Hansen addressed Canadians at NASA's Artemis 2 mission news conference Wednesday morning.
You should also be extraordinarily proud that we are represented in the Artemis program. And it wasn't a gift. You earned it.
Hansen says he is hopeful the mission will inspire not just Canadians, but people around the world.
You see this concrete example of what humanity can do, this extraordinary thing, when we set big goals and we work together to achieve them.
Hansen may be the first Canadian heading into deep space, but for now his focus is making sure everything goes according to plan.
We have this great group of simulation trainers who come up with these sort of evil tests for us, and we'll be sitting in the sim, all our mission controllers are in mission control, and then stuff will just start breaking.
It is clear Hansen has made a big impression on his crewmates.
Jeremy is well, it's tough to sit here and talk about your crewmates when you haven't really talked about it before, but he's the creative one on the crew. There's nothing that he doesn't just think about.
The mission is set to take off early next year. Lauren Stallone, CTV News.
Still to come, a last name longtime Pats fans might recognize now has a new generation joining the team.
Wardrobe consideration in part by Colin O'Brien Men's Shop.
The Riders holding their final practice in Regina today before traveling to Edmonton to take on the Elks. But the green and white will be without key pieces in the secondary, Tavon Campbell and Nelson Lacombo, as they look to bounce back after suffering one of their worst losses on the season. Donovan Mace has more.
Having already clinched a playoff spot, the Saskatchewan Roughriders are guarding themselves against complacency.
The taste that was left for us this last week and a half, yeah, we don't like that. So we got a ton of stuff to play for.
With still 5 weeks remaining in the regular season, Saskatchewan is the only team to have punched their postseason ticket. But playing a playoff game is not the goal the team set out for at the beginning of the year.
Our goal was to win the Grey Cup, and that goes by going 1-0 every single week. The longer we can go 1-0, the closer that goal comes to being achieved. So we can't be complacent.
Across from the green and white this weekend, a desperate team in green and gold.
I'm taking it as a playoff game, win or go home.
The Edmonton Elks, sitting 5th in the West, are fighting to stay in the playoff picture.
This is as close to playoff football as you can get without actually being in the playoffs. And if we lose, we're going to have to look ourselves in the mirror during the bye week and really have to find a way mathematically how we can be in the conversation. So in my opinion, it's win or go home.
Mace says matching their opponent's desperation down the stretch of the season will keep his team focused on their goals.
At this point of the year, and certainly just kind of how teams are jockeying for position, you're getting team's best effort, man, every week. You know what I mean? And it should be that all the time, but there's just a heightened sense of that.
Kickoff Saturday night at Commonwealth Stadium is 5 p.m. on TSN. Donovan May, CTV News, Regina.
And some sad news tonight for the Riders' opponent this weekend. Edmonton Elks owner Larry Thompson has died at the age of 65. The football club says Thompson died from complications following surgery. It did not say what the surgery was for, just that he fought a hard battle for many weeks, but the complications became too severe. Thompson became the first private owner of the Elks when he bought the team in 2024. The Elks organization says the ownership of the team will remain with Deb, Larry's wife. For recently acquired Regina Pats netminder Merrick Schlenker, playing hockey for the Queen City's WHL franchise, happens to run in the family. Jacob Carr explains how playing for the Pats is a full circle moment.
The newest member of the Pats goalie room, Merrick Schlenker, has been well-traveled during the past week since being acquired by the club.
I got the call Wednesday morning, last Wednesday, and I was in Penticton. So I drove from Penticton to my home in Calgary, stayed the night there, and then went Calgary to Regina the next day, and rolled in for game day skate on Friday.
Schlenker was immediately called into duty, starting the Pats' second game on Saturday, stopping 36 of 40 shots against the Medicine Hat Tigers. This is not the first time a Schlenker has suited up for the regiment. His father, Chris, played for the Pats from 2001 to 2004 before spending a year in Prince Albert. For the younger Schlenker, coming to the Queen City feels right.
Ever since I was a kid, I've wanted to play in the WHL, and you know, my dad's filled me in about everything in Regina. He's had nothing but good to say. So, you know, I've kind of been learning about Regina my whole life. You know, always asking him questions. He's a very insightful guy.
While the season is still very young, Pat's head coach Brad Haroff liked what he saw from Schlenker going in on such short notice.
Just the maturity, just the calmness that he had in the net. We were overwhelmed at some points where Medicine Hat was really coming, but he didn't look like he was overwhelmed. So he definitely brought a veteran presence to our team.
Now Schlenker and the Pats are on the brink of their home opener on Friday night against the Prince Albert Raiders, and the netminder is excited to get his first taste of a home game at the Brant Center.
Yeah, I got a chance to look at Ticketmaster and saw it's going to be a pretty good crowd, and then, you know, we got the tailgate and all that, and obviously there's the excitement of the younger guys, so I'm pretty excited. You know, I played here once last year on a middle of a weekday, and even that, the crowd was pretty solid.
The team says Friday's starting goalie between Schlenker, Taylor Tabashniak, and Kelton Pine is yet to be determined. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
Coming up, a major construction project in Saskatoon continues. We'll take a look at how far along it is.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at your rural forecast heading into tomorrow. So again, not as warm as the day that we did see yesterday, but we're still seeing those temperatures in around the seasonal mark, mid-teens, possibly getting into the 20-degree range for some areas. Some areas, like Hudson Bay, seeing a little bit more cloud cover. Some, like Spiritwood, expecting to see some rain come through. There is a system mostly further north. We're going to see that rain come through, but with that system, we will see a little bit more of that cloud roll through the area as well. So a lot of mix of sun and cloudy conditions. 16 degrees expected for Meadow Lake, Spiritwood, and Melfort. 17 for Hudson Bay, Wynyard, and Lloydminster, and 19 degrees for Watrous, Outlook, and Kindersley. The closer we get to the southern border, temperatures a couple degrees warmer. Warmest areas in the southeast are Carlisle, Cornack, 21, 19 for Assiniboia, Maple Creek, Leader, Rosetown, Lumsden, Pilot Butte. For many areas, it looks like it's 19 degrees, 18 for East End, Cypress, and Rockglen, 18 as well. Taking a closer look at Radville, about 130 kilometers south of Regina, warming up to 19 degrees tomorrow, mainly sunny. As I mentioned earlier, there is going to be a lot of strong winds coming through the area, like Radville, winds gusting up to about 65 kilometers an hour.
The next time you visit Saskatoon, you might have a new way across the river. As CTV's Stacey Hine finds out, the Broadway Bridge is on track to reopen before the end of October.
Crews continue work on the Broadway Bridge, which has been closed nearly 5 months for major repairs. Before the closure, about 20,000 vehicles and many pedestrians cross the bridge daily. Now both have been detouring, and some businesses on Broadway say it's taken a toll.
Having the bridge closed for several months has been a significant deterrent to get here, and we have seen that in terms of the amount of people coming to the store and also resulting in lower sales as well.
But not every business business has seen a big impact.
We have the best customers in the world, and they just find a way to get here. So honestly, I think we're maybe down 5%, which is very minimal.
I work one day a week here at Hudson. My perception over the summer working, the bridge being closed, I don't think made a lot of difference in comparison to other summers.
The city says the 93-year-old bridge is on track to reopen before the end of October. Demolition work is complete and new concrete barriers and expansion joints have been installed. Crews are now installing railings, preparing the deck for new waterproofing and asphalt, and repairing the arches and piers below. The project is expected to cost $15.5 million. The city says it's on budget, with costs lower than original estimates due to competitive tendering. Work under the bridge will continue past October, but the city says that won't affect traffic once it reopens. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Time to take a look at the markets. The TSX was down about 25 points today. The Dow Jones down about 174 points to 45,947. Canadian dollar down to 71.73 cents US. That's where it's trading right now. And making our way into commodities. Gold was up $13.28 an ounce. West Texas Intermediate crude was up 21 cents a barrel to 65.20. Western Canadian Select crude was up about $1.50 a barrel to 53.18. Gas prices per liter in Regina, the most common one you're going to see is 135.9. The lowest you'll see is around 114.9.
The coffee chain will close an estimated 400 locations it says are underperforming. 900 jobs are also being cut. This is the second round of layoffs for Starbucks. A new CEO is trying to turn things around for the coffee chain, which has reported slowing sales in the U.S. for the last 6 quarters. The president of Constellation Software is resigning for health reasons. Mark Leonard founded the company in 1995. The chief operating officer will take over as president. The resignation news sent shares plummeting today. And shares of Aya Gold and Silver dropped dramatically today after an activist investor group, Blue Orca Capital, accused the Canadian company of overstating how much silver it has. Shares sank more than 20% by early afternoon. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
All right, coming up tonight on CTV, we have some Gordon Ramsay action, Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage, which is, as you may know, the second Big Bang Theory spinoff. Then The Amazing Race, followed by The Big Bang Theory, the original one, and then E-Talk, and then, of course, at 11:30, we'll have Angela Stewart on with your local headlines for you once again. Well, Tell a Miracle, that's coming up, and it's going to celebrate 50 years next year. The producers behind it also happen to be looking for local talent to be part of the telethon.
You can sign up to audition until October 17th with in-person auditions taking place November 1st in Regina at the Kinsman Clubhouse and November 2nd in Saskatoon at the Kinsman Foundation. Performers can also submit a video audition online. Kinsman Tell a Miracle is set for February 28th to March 1st in Saskatoon. The 20-hour telethon raises money for the Kinsman Foundation, which then helps to support Saskatchewan residents in need of help with medical equipment and travel. Cole, I know you can sing.
Oh, not Tell a Miracle level, though.
Maybe.
Maybe someday.
Yeah. Well, we do want to take this second to take a moment and recognize one of our very own who's been recognized for his contributions to news over the years.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. And wow, I'm super pumped. I came here hoping.
Last night, CTV's Gareth Dillistone was given a Lifetime Achievement Award from RTDNA Canada, the organization that recognizes the very best in Canadian broadcasting. Now, Gareth has been working behind the camera at CTV News Regina for more than 43 years. In that time, getting the chance to film interviews with all kinds of people, even royalty, travel the world, and maybe most importantly for Gareth, flying all kinds of planes. From all of us here at the station, congrats, Gareth, on joining the legendary ranks of everyone who's held an RTDNA Lifetime Achievement Award. Very well deserved. And of course, Gareth plays a key role in making all of us look like $1 million.
Oh, yeah. He will always take the extra time to make sure every hair is in the right place and the lighting is good. And
you know, sometimes news gets a little chaotic. You need people like that.
That's right.
Thanks, Gareth.
Thank you.